Okay, I'd like to take the next few minutes to just review again about how our compressor and our condenser work in this system. Remember, as we talked about earlier, as the refrigerant moves through the 5 major components of the air conditioning system, so does our oil, the oil that comes from our compressor. Now, we have 2 basic styles of compressors. We have what I will refer to as a rotary style compressor. Most of these have 7 pistons inside of them. And then we have the upright style compressor. The upright style compressor has not been put on a truck since the year 2000, so this is going to be pretty much limited to older vehicles. The Sandon rotary style compressor is the standard compressor on virtually every truck today. Again, keep in mind, when this compressor, this rotary style, comes from the factory, it has 10 ounces of oil in the system. Again, this rotary one has 14. This plug on the side is where the oil is put in, and on the Sandon, the plug on the top is how the oil is put in. A truck's air conditioning system, or your car's air conditioning system, over time starts to lose refrigerant. How does that happen? Well, we have a crankshaft seal, we have fittings, we have rubber hose, we have O-rings. Wherever we have an opportunity for a leak, that is a place where this is going to leave. 2 to 5% is lost every year in a vehicle. The first year it's not a problem. Second year, not a problem, not so much. Third and fourth year, now it starts to become a problem. Typically the driver won't notice any big changes, but your system does notice a change. As that refrigerant moves around, as the charge becomes weaker, the amount of oil coming back to the compressor starts to diminish. At a point in time where that compressor will start putting out an ounce of oil, and then 3/4 will come back. Ounce out, 3/4 back, and we're going to be running a deficit. And eventually, this little engine that we were talking about will run out of oil. As it starts to get low on oil, it's still running, it's still trying to do its job, but now these 7 pistons are rubbing with no lubrication and are going to be shedding metal. The Teflon rings on the pistons will start to shred. The wobble plate ball inside will start to tear up, and debris will come flying out of the discharge side of this compressor. And that will go directly piped into our condenser. Now, years ago, the condenser is what we call a tube and fin. And this would be an example of a tube and fin condenser. One easy way to tell is it has round tubes, and you'll see they're tucked on each end. So it's one continuous tube starting in, going all the way down, serpentining all the way down, and then coming out the bottom. That condenser can be easily flushed, and it was a pretty decent condenser. Problem is, with 134A, it wasn't quite efficient enough. So the truck manufacturers all chose to go to a parallel flow type condenser, which is this style right here. The disadvantage of a parallel flow condenser is when you look at the end of these flat tubes, there are very, very tiny holes that the ball from an ink pen won't even fit into. Now, there's a manifold that runs down both sides, just like this one. The refrigerant comes in. This is divided in 3 sections. So if I were to look at this, the refrigerant flows in these first 6 tubes, goes across, drops down, comes back, drops down, zigzags back and forth like this. The debris that the compressor that's slowly failing plugs up these holes. Now we've gone from a poor circulation situation due to low refrigerant. Now we have even a worse situation because we've plugged up the holes in the condenser. So now we've drastically reduced the amount of oil coming back to the compressor, and it causes a catastrophic failure. The pistons will seize up inside of the cylinders. This pulley that normally is turning all the time as the truck engine's running is now going to try to turn against a stationary plate. When you have 2 steel plates that are rubbing against each other with a lot of friction, heat immediately builds up, and the coil and the bearing inside just melt down. Then everything stops, and when this seizes up, the truck's belt breaks and the truck is broke down right there. And the sad part of it is that is not like getting a flat tire. This is not a on-the-road repair. This is a hook the truck up and tow it away to get it repaired. And unfortunately, if you're not near your own shop, you're at the mercy at the closest shop that you can get to as far as getting the payment to get that thing done.